Good morning and welcome into the show today here at the Steven Singer Studios. I'm Marc Farzetta. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I know the Flyers didn't help that goal of accomplishing a wonderful weekend. The Sixers provided some hope and then none, as it only really gave us worry this All-Star game, so that's fun. Zach Ertz looks like those days are nearing the end here in his Philadelphia run, his incredible Philadelphia run. And the Phillies played some spring training baseball. So we're going to get to all this, as well as the confidence level the Eagles have in Jalen Hurts. We'll get to that as well. But let's start off with this. It was incredible to just hear fans back at a game in South Philadelphia. It was great to just hear fans chant, "Ref, you suck, ref, you suck." It was great to just hear cheers. It was great to get crowd shots, all that, to see people ushering in through Wells Fargo Center, albeit 3,023 fans, and that's it. Fine. It was just great to hear live bodies again at the Wells Fargo Center. And to every fan that was there, I know I tweeted this out, but if you're listening to this and you were at that game last night, just congratulations. You've been through a lot. You've been through a lot throughout the last year. You deserve that game. Congratulations on being there. Sorry the Flyers weren't that good at hockey. Elaine Vigneault after the game was asked, I think it was this by Jeff Skversky of 6ABC. He was asked about not exactly giving the fans what they came to see. They came to see a hockey game. They were allowed in the building. Check mark, step one. They brought their A game. A game. All right, step two. Step three, hey, let's reward these people with their first victory. Not just with their first game, but their first victory at home in quite some time. Here's AV after the game.
There's no doubt. I mean, we came out here with the best intentions, playing in front of our fans. We came out with good jump, but we couldn't finish the job. So what we've got to do now is we got tomorrow to rest up, and we'll have a quick morning skate on Tuesday and get ready for our next opponent.
All that sounds fantastic. All of it sounds fantastic. And yeah, the Flyers, they look like they came out with some life, with some jump and all that. It didn't look like a problem of effort. It looked like a problem of just what he said. They couldn't finish the job. You get on the doorstep a number of times. They couldn't finish the job. They were right there. Carter Howard had some struggles. Defense, once again, wasn't that great in front of him. Shane Gostisbehere didn't look that great at the blue line with a bad turnover. There was just so many different things that went wrong for the Flyers, but in talking to some Flyers fans, and we're actually going to hear some from some Flyers fans on the show in a couple of minutes, they just wanted to be there. It was just great to at least have it. The one time they might be able to push it aside for a second, the winning or losing or whatever you want to call it, they were able to push it aside just because they were happy to be there. And this is a rare occurrence where you might not have people be venomous after a Flyers loss, especially like the one yesterday at the hands of the Washington Capitals. But it just was a great atmosphere. You could feel it coming through the TV. You could feel how excited people were to just be in the building. Now, we had talked a lot, to transition quickly here to some football conversation. We had talked a lot leading up to the Carson Wentz trade about obviously not just Carson Wentz and the trade that seemed like it was just bound to happen. But we had also talked about the internal struggles of what goes on at the NovaCare complex with Howie Roseman, with Jeffrey Lurie, Jalen Hurts, how much confidence they have in Jalen Hurts. Well, over the weekend, Chris Mortensen was on ESPN, ESPN football reporter extraordinaire, Chris Mortensen, and he kind of just drops casually in the Todd McShay latest mock draft that the Eagles are not going to be taking a quarterback early in this draft, and that Jeffrey Lurie loves Jalen Hurts, and that Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy they're going to build around going forward. So it now doesn't look like they're going to be taking anybody early in this draft that will be healthy competition for Jalen Hurts. It looks like they're going to go out there. They're going to sign a veteran, as we have talked about. There's some rumors about possibly Chase Daniel coming back to Philadelphia. There's other rumors about maybe taking a quarterback later in this draft. I would fully expect the Eagles to take a quarterback later in this draft. And not at number 6, obviously. Not at number 53 like they did with Jalen Hurts last year. But I would expect in the later rounds them take somebody, maybe in the 4th or 5th round, take somebody that can be a body, somebody they can buy low on to sell high. And this has been something the Eagles have done in the past. The most classic example probably is A.J. Feely. They were able to flip him and get a second-round pick for him, for instance. I see them doing that. I don't see them taking a quarterback at number 6, as I've been saying, although I had been sold on the idea a little bit more than I was, say, right before the Carson Wentz deal. So I don't think they'll take somebody at number 6. They won't take somebody at number 6 to be a quarterback. They'll take a quarterback later in this draft. That's how I think it plays out. But the interesting thing here is the note of building around Jalen Hurts. And we had asked the question 2 weeks ago about whether or not Jalen Hurts by the Eagles is seen as a Mr. Right or Mr. Right now. It seems like, at least right now, they're going to proceed going forward as if he is the guy, which I assume is a pretty good idea at this point, considering whatever veteran you're going to bring in here isn't going to be the guy to lead the rest of this squad, especially when you have Jalen Hurts already working out with his receivers and putting in that work and everyone getting all happy about the work ethic that he does have. And how could you not be? You want a guy at quarterback that has a great work ethic. It goes without saying. But it really lends itself to the weapon aspect of all of this and whether or not Howie Roseman is going to be getting a weapon at number 6 for Jalen Hurts and something beyond a good offensive lineman, something more along the lines of a stud receiver. So is that Kyle Pitts? Is that Jamar Chase? Is that Devontae Smith? Who could that be for Jalen Hurts? I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I know the sexy pick is always to take the wide receiver or the very versatile tight end, like Kyle Pitts, for instance. I think the direction Howie Roseman's actually going to go here is the sexy direction. I don't think it's going to be an offensive lineman. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be the pick that wows the fans and will also make Howie Roseman look even more brilliant. This is Howie Roseman's perspective, not mine. But make Howie look good. He'll make himself look good by getting a weapon early for his new quarterback that he foresaw with such great brilliance and foresight. He foresaw him being so great in Jalen Hurts. He foresaw at number 53 last year how good he could be. Now, how much better can he make him look by getting him a stud receiver? Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, like we said, Kyle Pitts. Getting him that weapon that'll make his quarterback look good. I think they look at Jordan Mailata and they see a guy that can play left tackle for this football team. They certainly know they have that in Lane Johnson when healthy. They know they have a good offensive line when it's Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, and Jordan Mailata hopefully taking another step forward, with also having Andre Dillard there in the mix as well. So they feel Howie Roseman, I think, feels as if they take the field starting out the season with a good offensive line. Now make sure you get yourself some weapons. You already got Jalen Reagor last year in the first round. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Howie Roseman says, so forget about my history here of taking an offensive lineman when I have an early pick, offensive lineman or quarterback. No, I'm going to take another weapon here and make sure that my quarterback that I drafted last year that everybody hated on me for, I'm going to make sure he's in the best possible position to at least put up some numbers, to at least look good, so he can buy himself even more time in that front office, even though it feels like after this year, Howie has zero threat. But if I'm Howie, I'm going to make sure I'm surrounding my quarterback with weapons, and that's going to go along the lines of a stud receiver for him, a playmaking receiver. And when I say that, I don't just mean wide receiver. I also mean a playmaking, versatile tight end as well when you talk about a guy like Kyle Pitts. So that's what I see happening. Now, this was amazing. We have to get to this. Adam Silver has done a phenomenal job over the last year. I haven't heard anybody really say boo about the NBA and how they've handled COVID-19 and how they've handled players and taken care of them, and the referees like we talked about last week with Adam Lefko. People were like, Adam Silver for president of the United States in an election year. And that's why this hurts so damn much. This is why last night hurt so damn much. Last night, we hear a story, the news breaks, of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons both coming in close contact with a barber that tested positive for COVID-19. So due to NBA protocol, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons can't play in last night's game. So just that isolated, heart palpitations. That makes me just every Sixers fan was probably what, he, huh? Not good. So last night, as you're following this along, you're waiting for more stories to come out, and actually today's guest, John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia, is going to join us, and he came up with this answer here. This came out last night. Take a look. Source confirms that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons have continued to test negative after it was revealed that their personal barber tested positive for COVID-19. Ben and Joe both back in Philadelphia. So that's great. All right, that makes me feel a little bit better. Take that deep breath. But this is where Adam Silver comes into play. Now, I don't think he's the guy drawing up the game presentation, but how do you not, during player intros, at least acknowledge two All-Stars that even though they're not at the All-Star game, we're All-Stars, we're voted, we're called in by coaches, fans, all that, and how do you not? How do you not even say, and out with protocol, unfortunately, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons? How did they not even get a hat tip? Nothing. That was terrible. Shame. That hurts so much to say to Adam Silver, a guy we've praised for the last year. This thing, terrible. First off, they shouldn't have had an All-Star game. Yeah, I was shocked after this. I'll say it. The Pro Bowl came out, and they said that basically in the NFL they're just going to have a video game, and they're just going to play video games. Cool, have fun. All right, you don't need an extra game, and that's a lot of sponsorship tie-in for the NFL, mind you. And they said, oh, yeah, we're not going to, nothing. We're just going to play some video games, and we're going to call that the Pro Bowl. All right, fine. The NHL, no All-Star game. All right, fine. MLB, obviously happened a little late. Could have had an All-Star game. They didn't want to force it. They didn't do it. Fine. The NBA, TV rights deals, contracts, all that stuff with the TNT, and they have to have the All-Star game. I look forward to talking to Hugh Douglas tomorrow from Atlanta once again, just to get his take on how the city took in the All-Star game. But I know all of us kind of stopped, held our breath for a second when we saw that news with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And we were thinking, all right, these guys are going to be missing 2 weeks. Hopefully they're okay health-wise. Hopefully they can come back 2 weeks, no problems, no lingering effects. And it turns out they just continue to test negative, which is a great sign, obviously. But the fact that they were doing this in preparation for an All-Star game that shouldn't have been happening, that's where it kind of bothers me. And by the way, I asked this question, and we're going to get to this in our social media rush, by the way, our morning rush. I asked this question last night, our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine. I asked this question last night after the All-Star game. I just said, the NBA All-Star game, fill in the blank type of deal. And there was maybe one positive response. I was just trying to make sure it wasn't just me. I thought it sucked. I thought the format was terrible. The way they do the score is terrible. I thought it was the only good thing was raising money for charity. All right, cool. But in terms of just trying to watch an All-Star game, like the game should have a semblance of like what you normally watch. I always feel that way about any type of exhibition, whatever. Like even in spring training when they do only 7 innings, I'm like, well, at least they played baseball for 7 innings. It wasn't like, you hit one home run with nobody on and it's like 10 runs, something stupid. It was the closest thing to rock and jock, basically, that I saw last. I hated the format. I thought it was dumb. I just thought it was dumb. And maybe it was just because I was watching everything in a bad light after the way the NBA handled Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Maybe that was it. But no, I think it was bad, really bad. And I'll read you some of the responses from people a little bit later in the show because it didn't make you feel good. It did not make you feel good. And finally, I'll just mention this one more time. There's a couple of rumors out there about where he could be headed and whatnot, but make no mistake about it. And I hate to say it because I'd love him to play his whole career in Philadelphia, and it ain't happening. Zach Ertz, the Zach Ertz era in Philly is going to be over rather soon. And there are reports, Mike Silver, NFL Network, saying that Zach Ertz's days in Philadelphia, he could be traded in the coming days in Philadelphia. So we will keep an eye on that. But that is the news surrounding Zach Ertz. There is one thing I did leave out about the NBA All-Star game that we will get back to during our Morning Rush segment to let you see what some of the players involved had to say as well. So we will get to that. But I did promise you we would get some little fan reaction with Flyers fans being allowed back in the building at the Wells Fargo Center for the first time in almost a year. Last night, I was tweeting with some fans, and I said exactly what I said earlier on this show. I just simply said, hey, congrats for being there. You guys deserve this. Well, I got a couple of tweets in response to that. One was a picture of this guy, Chris, who I have met a couple of times doing events at bars, sports bars in the area over the years. I met this guy a couple of times. Good dude. And he was at the game last night with a bunch of his friends, and he tweeted me a photo of them just enjoying themselves in their pod. They had guys, they had their sections, like little pods, mostly two-seaters, and then there's some more four-seaters. Well, he was there with some friends. He tweeted me a picture, and I said, hey, I'd love to interview you before tomorrow's show. Can I talk to you? So just last night I sat down, and Chris joined me from the car leaving the Wells Fargo Center after the game. Here is Chris and his boys in the car after the game, leading the Wells Fargo Center. Take a look. All right, how great is this? I am lucky to be joined by Flyers fan Chris. And also, Chris, I didn't realize this. You're also in the business as well. You work over at The Gambler, no?
Yeah, Fox 102.5, Fox Sports The Gambler. We're on the iHeartRadio app as well, so you can get us worldwide anywhere. Green Legion Radio on Saturday afternoons, 1 to 3 with Quimby, Philly Mike, the big dog, Hollis Thomas. So everybody's familiar with the big dog Tank. And yours truly. And we have a lot of fun, man. You guys need to check us out. Big announcement coming on Saturday's show, Farzy. Big announcement.
All right. Well, that's what
I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a show on Sundays with former Phillies broadcaster. I'm not telling you who, but on Sundays, you got to check out the show next Saturday, my friend.
Okay, I will. That's and you know the business well, because that's what you call a tease right there. That's
absolutely,
textbook.
Man. That's what I'm here for. I appreciate you letting me do on the spot.
I appreciate you coming on to give us the reaction of being at the Wells Fargo Center for the first time in almost a year. 3,023 fans were in attendance, yourself and your buddies included. What was it like to finally be back at a sporting event in Philadelphia?
Absolutely great. Listen, I don't care what the result is, like me and you were messaging about. I hate going to losses. I always want to see a W, but it's never a guarantee. Just being back in the Wells Fargo Center is just, it's a pure joy. A lot of fun. We got to do a couple chants about our favorite referees tonight. Hopefully they came across to you all on television. And,
yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun tonight, despite the outcome. And, lackluster effort tonight, but it's a lot, man, coming off a back-to-back.
It absolutely is, but like you said, there's a rare occurrence where maybe the actual outcome isn't the biggest story. How, just being there is the big story. But yeah, the ref "you suck" chant was on point. You guys were great. Did not miss a beat since lockdown.
Was that the only one you heard? Because there was a couple others.
That was the only one I could make out and then repeat now. So, but
good,
we'll
get to.
Now, how about the rest of the guys in the car? Do you guys have a good time? I know you're leaving Wells Fargo right now. Hopefully you're not driving just yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, no, it was a good time. It was great to see fans back in the crowd. And like Chris said, we got a couple chants there right there in the first period, so we didn't waste any time.
Okay, awesome. Now, where are all you guys from?
Well, most of us, 3 of us are from Williamstown. We all went to Williamstown High School together.
Okay.
And my buddy Dan back there, he's wearing the gray hoodie. Dan is from he's my neighbor. We live in Maple Shade now. Dan, why don't you tell him a little bit about you, man?
Hey, man. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, just the Flyers fan. It was a good time tonight. Unfortunately, it wasn't a W, but yeah, it's a good time getting back to watch a Flyers game, and hopefully the results are better next time.
No, I agree with you on that. I just do want to point out that in the darkness of the backseat, the people watching this is not a kidnap video. Everybody is safe. Everybody is okay. There are no ransoms. There's just fans leaving the Flyers game. So how was the Wells Fargo Center in terms of social distancing, masking up, securing all that, policing all that? How was everybody with that?
They did a great job. Everyone was socially distanced. I felt safe the whole time. We all had to wear a mask. We stayed 6 feet apart. It was good. They did a good job.
Okay, awesome. Chris, did you guys go for concessions at all? How was that whole situation for people that are going to be going maybe next time?
Yeah, it's kind of like me and Chad, we both went to the we went to the Eagles Dallas game back in October. So
sure, Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, for those of you, yeah, it was also Carson's worst game. Hard to say, right? But you have to get food if you're going to order beer. So we went to an ice cream stand and they were trying to sell us ice cream before the game. with beer. And I was like, I'm not ready for ice cream yet. So get yourself a soft pretzel and a couple beers before you head to your seats.
Good
You
advice.
have to make sure you keep your mask on while you're actively eating and drinking. So just make sure, pull the mask down, take a couple sips of your beer, and pull the mask up, because they were hawking, man. They were ready to jump on you if they didn't see you wearing your mask.
All right. Well, that's good. A lot of people. Well, not a lot of people. I mean, did it ever feel crowded? I mean, with 3,000 people in a 20,000 seat venue, I'm sure it felt pretty spacious.
Oh, it was spacious. It felt like a
Okay.
Sixers process era game. It was, there was a lot of leg room.
Okay.
For those of us that have a little bit of extra LBs on us, so it was nice for the love handles. You could lean over, you could kick your feet up in the seats in front of you.
Okay.
One thing that I will advise to everybody is make sure you pre-do your parking before you come over to the arena. They're still taking cash and card, but I already bought parking yesterday, and we rolled right up, and they just binged us right in. So
Nice.
get your parking ahead of time, and then when you come up, security is pretty easy. You got to answer 5 questions. Have you had COVID in the last 24 hours? Have you been around anybody with COVID in the last 24 hours? And then, once you answer no to all the questions, go in, get your ticket, and then go right to your seats or right to concessions, however you need to go.
Okay. And how did you guys get tickets?
Well, I am a half-season ticket holder for the Flyers. So,
All right. First dibs.
yeah, it was nice. I didn't know, because it was based off of tenure. So I had 4 p.m. on Thursday, and we were able to get tickets right away. You can only get them in a 4-game plan. So it's through the rest of March. So there was 8 games through the rest of March. So there was 2 4-game plans available, and I wanted to be at the first game back. I could not resist.
Well, good for you. Good for you and your friends and all the not at all kidnapped people in the back. So thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate it. Make sure you check out Chris on Fox Sports Gambler as well. Chris, I appreciate you jumping on. Glad you guys at least enjoyed the atmosphere of being back, because you sounded great on TV. Like I said, you guys had a better performance than the Flyers tonight, fortunately and unfortunately.
I agree. Hey, next time, Farzy, want me, you, and Hugh, we need to meet back over at PJ's in Cherry Hill. We need to be doing shots again, my friend.
Good times. Chris, guys, all you guys in there in the car, thanks so much. Drive safe, get home safe, and glad you guys were able to go to a sporting event in the city of brotherly love yet again. Thanks, fellas.
Anytime. Thanks, Farzy.
It was just a couple of shots. It wasn't a lot of shots. It was just like, hey, guys, you're here. Take a shot. It was like one shot at the beginning and then one at the end. But anyway, Chris, good dude, and congratulations. I didn't even realize before we were going back and forth last night that he got the gig over at Fox Sports, so that's awesome. It obviously, as it seemed, they had a great time, and hopefully that's some information for you as well, the listener and viewer of this show, about what's going on at the Wells Fargo Center. And we had talked about maybe a month ago when we were just starting up the show about some of the steps the Wells Fargo Center was taking in order to get that stamp of approval from the NHL and the city of Philadelphia, including a new air filtration system that can clean out the air in the building like in a matter of 30 minutes, which is incredible. So thanks to Chris again, and it looked like they all had a great time, as everybody did at the Wells Fargo Center last night, with the exception of the hockey that was actually played. Coming up in just a second, we're going to talk to our friend John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, the best of the business as far as I'm concerned, and we'll get the latest on everything going on with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and all that, as well as some other things going on in the football world as well. But right now, I do want to tell you here at the Steven Singer Studios about my good friend, Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers and IHateStevenSinger.com. At the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, you need to check it out. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com to peruse some inventory. Also, you can use an appointment scheduler to make yourself an appointment. Show up at the other corner of 8th and Walnut in Philadelphia, and a real jewelry expert will walk you through everything. And while you are looking at all the inventory, all the beautiful diamonds, all the beautiful pieces of jewelry, and while you're having a conversation with that expert jeweler, keep this in mind. Everything there is at the perfect price. The perfect price. Steven always likes to say he's like Walmart and Tiffany's. If they had a baby, that'd be Steven Singer Jewelers. Everything at the perfect price, so you could just enjoy your experience and not have to worry about your negotiating skills, not have to worry about haggling. No. It's all taken care of. So you just pick out what you like, pick out what she might like, pick out what he might like, And then, you could just get the best piece of jewelry, at the best quality from the best jewelry expert you could speak to at Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. IHateStevenSinger.com. Make sure you check him out. Without further ado, we're going to get to today's guest on the Zatos Investments guest line, my good friend from NBC Sports Philadelphia, John Clark. Let's check in with John right now. Investments guest line, my good friend, and not only friend, but if you were part of the Ask Me Anything on Reddit last week, somebody asked me who are the best reporters in Philadelphia, and I said, well, it's John Clark, and then it's everybody else. That man, John Clark, joins us right now. John, that's not blowing smoke. I actually answered that because I believe it, my friend.
That's very kind of you, Mark. I mean, you're the best. I miss seeing you. Hopefully when this is all over, we can catch a comedy show or get back out there and have some fun, because I miss you, man. I miss your energy, and I miss your humor, because I think we have very similar humor.
Yes, we do. And don't worry, I've blocked off some time later in the interview to talk about that humor.
Nice.
But first off, I mean, you're in a building right now, the Wells Fargo Center, NBC Sports Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia Flyers were there tonight. And fans were there for the first time in almost a year. Did you feel the energy? I know you went out there. You posted some social media pics out there as well for the people to indulge in. What was it like just being amongst fans again?
Mark, it was awesome. To drive up and see some cars in the parking lot, and just to see the energy back in the building. If you go into an empty, cold house, it just doesn't feel like a home. And that's the way I felt about Wells Fargo Center and other sporting events for the last year. Even though it was 3,000, you could hear them. And of course, they got on the refs once again. Refs, you suck. And there was booing. The Capitals are introduced, and there's booing. So it's just good to feel that Philly juice again. They brought the juice, and it was good to say hi to people. People just coming up and saying hi, and talking to people. And it does stink that you can't see people's faces. The one thing about masks, and you have to wear them because we're looking out for each other. Mm-hmm. But the one thing is you can't see people smile, and you can't see their expression, and you can't hug people. You can't high five people or fist bump people or shake people's hands. So I do miss the closeness of people. And, when people are sitting further apart, you can't just lean over and say, God, what a bad play by the defenseman or something. You can't get together on that stuff, but it's good to have the energy back, some sort of energy. And they were loud.
It sounded a lot more. It sounded like a lot more than 3,000 people in the building. So that's great. And Flyers fans, as you well know, definitely bring that energy every single time. So it was great having them. Unfortunately, the Flyers didn't give them a W as they came out again, but still, nonetheless, good to have fans back in the building now. Unfortunately, when the All-Star game's going on, the Sixers don't have any representation. Turns out Joel Embiid, as we know by now, and Ben Simmons were using the same barber. That barber tested positive for coronavirus, so they're now part of the contact tracing. All that's going on right now. So Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are not playing in the All-Star game, but you have recently reported, you put out a tweet just last night saying that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid have continued to test negative. Is there any other developments on that story?
Well, that's the very, very important thing, is that even though they got haircuts, a fresh cut for the All-Star game, which Shaquille O'Neal said every player does, got to look fresh and get a new cut going to the All-Star game. Even though they were with their barber, I guess separately, right? But they were with their barber in Philly. Even though the barber has tested positive twice now, Joel and Ben have continued to test negative, even after it was learned that their barber tested positive. Now, that's as of last night about 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So let's hope that continues to be the case today, because that's very, very, very important. So it looks like Joel and Ben right now are okay. They're doing fine. But I don't know how long they're going to be out, because there's been other situations this year where players have had to miss up to a week with the contact tracing. So,
sure.
An unfortunate situation. And Zach LaVine and some other guys said that they heard that Ben and Joel were being safe, that their barber gets tested every day. And I hope that they were wearing masks. I'm sure they were. When I go get a haircut, I wear a mask. My barber wears a mask. So it's just crazy, because in situations where you think you're still being safe, this can happen.
Right. Yeah. That's what you call hair people problems. Bald people problems. No issue here. No trips to the barber.
And I think Doc Rivers should have said that as well. Like I'm able to coach in the All-Star game because I don't need to go see the barber.
Exactly. So yes, exactly. We're just hoping they continue to test negative. But you also go back and think about Kevin Durant and that whole situation where he was in a game, out of a game, in a game. Along the lines of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, though, Adam Silver has hit the ball out of the park in everything he has done since shutdown. And the bubble and the NBA has done a wonderful job. A little disappointing, and I'm not saying that Adam Silver was the guy writing the script for introductions, but Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, no shout out even during player introductions tonight.
Yeah, that's bad. Could have at least had cardboard cutouts. We're used to that. Even have them sitting on the bench. But yeah, and the whole thing about should they have had an All-Star game? It's a fascinating question because, and I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do, but if you're the commissioner and these guys are kind of sacrificing their time I hear from athletes like they basically, when they're on the road, it's the arena and the hotel. And so they're not really able to have a lot of fun or hang out or go to restaurants and things like that. So if I'm the commissioner, and I don't know if he did this, I would go do a poll of all the players and ask them, do you want to have an All-Star game? And from some of the comments, like you heard James Harden and some of the other players, sounds like that they didn't think this was too good of an idea.
Yeah, LeBron James too. James did the same thing.
Yeah, so here's a chance maybe they could have been home, resting up, being safe. Now, I imagine down there they were quarantining and only went to the arena for the game. But I would have taken a poll of all the players, and if the majority of them said, no, we shouldn't have an All-Star game, then you probably shouldn't do it. But, Mark, I want to ask you one thing. Imagine if this happened right before the NBA Finals and the Sixers are finally in the NBA Finals, and simple trip to the barber like a couple Kansas City Chiefs had before the Super Bowl. And Joel and Ben, let's say they had to miss a couple of NBA Finals games because of contact tracing or, God forbid, come down with the virus. So it really teaches you right now that you can't do anything.
Right.
You can't do anything because when you get later in the season, you don't want to risk not being available for key playoff games.
No, you're exactly right. And I think that's a great point. And especially if you would have polled the players, my guess would be the players would have said, hey, thanks, but no thanks. We don't need this. But I know the NBA and TV rights and all that and all the money that was locked up into this, I had a feeling it was going to happen. The only thing that actually gave me pause that it wasn't going to happen was the fact that the Pro Bowl wasn't the Pro Bowl. And the Pro Bowl is a huge sponsorship tie-in for the NFL. Not that the NFL or the NBA has problems like the NFL or anything like that. But it just seems like once the Pro Bowl said we're going to go virtual, more or less, I thought the NBA would then say, maybe we'll pass this year on the All-Star game, but that's not the way they went.
Yeah, and I tell you, think about this. Think about the Kevin Durant situation that you mentioned. What if Joel and Ben are introduced and then maybe they're sitting on the bench or they play, and then it comes down during the All-Star game, just like the Kevin Durant situation, that they needed to be pulled out. Kind of like the World Series.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what you would call nightmare fuel. If you're anybody organizing this event for the NBA, they would lose a lot of sleep over that. Someone would lose a job after actually.
Every key player is there. So what are you going to do now? But as I said, going forward, Sixers have a ridiculously tough stretch coming up. Maybe not like the first week or whatever, but they're going to have a ridiculously tough stretch mid-March through mid-April. And you need everybody healthy and ready to go.
Sixers wise, the Nets have added a significant piece here as far as basketball goes away from the COVID world, but Blake Griffin's going to be joining the Nets now. First off, what do you think of that move? And second, how much more aggressive do you think Daryl Morey will be now at the deadline because the Nets just got all that much more better?
Well, Mark, Blake Griffin, is he even, I don't even know what he is anymore.
I know he's better than what they had at the 4 spot.
Right.
That's what I know.
I just don't know if he's done. But yeah, the Nets are putting together an all-star team up there. But listen, Daryl Morey, from everything anybody ever says about Daryl Morey, he is always chasing. And he was chasing the Warriors in Houston all those years, and he was trying to get over the hump, and he made all kinds of moves. He did everything he possibly could. There's no doubt he's going to do everything he possibly can. My question is, what is the price? What is the price of making a trade like Kyle Lowry? And is it worth it? But you know what? Look, they got a chance here. So you have to look at Joel Embiid being a big man and some of the injury history. How many years do they have to just go all out for it, you know?
Absolutely.
Before his body, you know, is I don't want to say worse, but I mean, he's a big man. Like that's a lot of weight on the joints and ligaments and the feet and stuff. So do you say to yourself, our window is a couple of years, let's just go for it right now? Maybe they do, but you know, at what price? And I think you have to weigh that.
No, I think you do. You're absolutely right. After the years we went through with the process, I know some people thought, man, you think if you go through that, you'd be patient for something to blossom through this. I'm like, the hell with patience. I just had patience for 4 years. Now I'm about winning now. So yeah, and I'm with you as far as the Joel Embiid situation goes. You don't know how much time he has. You don't know how much time he's going to be in the NBA, how much time he's going to be playing at this level in particular. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. Is Kyle Lowry the guy you have an eye on, the guy you would like to see the Sixers add, that type of player, someone that could create his own shot, get in this starting five? And also, is there a player that you would kind of be a little bit a little hesitant on giving up, like a Matisse Thybulle or a Danny Green?
You know, I say go for it. But obviously, look, they were right there and possibly thought they had a deal for James Harden. So you can see the level of what they're trying to do. But in the end, it was the draft picks and Maxey that they just weren't willing to part with. So they do have, you know, a ceiling of what they're willing to offer. They were willing to offer Ben Simmons in the trade and Matisse Thybulle, but Tyrese Maxey, they weren't going to do it. And then the number of draft picks, the number of first-round picks. So Zach LaVine,
I'm in. No, I love that idea. I love that idea. Yeah,
I'm all in with that. I mean, Kyle Lowry is such an interesting situation because of his contract situation, and how many years does he have left? You know, so but once again, I mean, if you're looking at, okay, we can do it this year or we can do it next year, then you go for it. So look, I mean, Daryl Morey is going to do everything he possibly can because he believes they can win now. He's already said it, that they think they have a championship team here. And I mean, I think you're going to see a move.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Before the deadline, I think you're going to see something to make this team just a little bit better, at least a little bit better. That's for sure. Looking to football now, Zach Ertz, some reports are out there right now, possible trade maybe in the coming days. I know that was just out there with NFL Network's Mike Silver. What do you see happening in the not too distant future here with Zach Ertz?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it seems like this is the end of the line. And I think that they're trying to see if there's a better trade for him out there. And I got to tell you, I think if they're not, if they don't get something in return, you know, you could see Zach Ertz released just because of the salary cap pinch that they're in, and they're going younger. So I think this is the end of the line. I mean, we just looked at the video again as we're getting ready for our show of Carson, Zach, and Jason Kelsey after the season finale coming back out on the field at the link. And we could see them there till like, I think it was 1 a.m. or something like that. And they kind of knew what was coming. I believe Carson knew that he probably wasn't coming back or didn't want to come back. And I think Zach Ertz also knew that his time was probably coming to an end. And who knows? You don't know if Jason at that point was maybe thinking about or leaning towards retirement. He definitely contemplated it, you would think, again. So, yeah, this is a rebuild or a retool. And Dallas Goedert is your tight end of the future. And love Zach Ertz. I mean, two of the biggest catches and biggest moments in Philly sports history. I mean, you know, everybody talks about the Philly special, but man, you know, that fourth down call, it was 4th and 1, right?
Yep, 4th and 1.
And that catch, the throw and catch, and then of course the game-winning touchdown.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it doesn't get better than those plays.
No.
Even though Chris Collinsworth, I think, maybe didn't think it was that is a touchdown. Cross the plane with the ball. So,
yes.
I mean, two of the best in all of Philly sports history. So, Zach, I mean, it's a shame things have to end like this. And it seems like this is one of the quickest unravelings of a Super Bowl team 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coach, quarterbacks, possibly the tight end who scored the game-winning touchdowns. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of the way it's played out.
Yeah, it definitely feels weird that this soon after the Super Bowl, a couple of years, the coach is gone, the franchise quarterback is gone, and it looks like you're about to do almost a complete about-face with the organization as a whole. I want to ask you this question, John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, because the young kids need to know. The people that want to get into the business want to know. If they want to get into the business, they got to be as good, or at least aspire to be as good on social media as John Clark. John, what makes a good tweet?
Wow. What makes a good tweet? Something that makes you feel a certain way, shows or gets a little bit of emotion out of you. I mean, obviously there's news that you put out.
Sure.
But like if you're here at the Flyers game, show people what is going on, show them what it's like for the fans being back, the moment, when the team comes on the ice, and you see the fans, getting excited. So, I mean, I have found that we in Philadelphia, we love, when athletes talk about each other in town. Like if Bryce Harper talks about, the Eagles, or, their support amongst the teams, and then the relationship between Bryce Harper and JT Real Muto. I mean, we love that here in Philly. The fact that Bryce Harper was coming out every single time and saying sign JT. So, I think you have to feel a certain way about something. How does it make you feel? So, hey, look, I mean, none of us got into this business. You and me didn't get into this business thinking about tweets. No, it was about broadcasting, and it was about, telling great stories and showing highlights and having some fun. But now, I mean, the young generation coming up, that's how they're getting all their information. It's pretty wild,
The digital age, my friend. Digital age.
We got to keep up, man. We can't be dinosaurs.
Yeah, I tell me about it. Now, as far as that comedy thing you referenced earlier, it's been a year since fans were allowed in the stadium, at least at a Flyers game or a Sixers game. Let's just say in that year's span, what has been the funniest show, comedy show, stand-up, whatever, that you have seen in the past year?
Jim Gaffigan in the Citizens Bank parking lot.
Right.
The outdoor show where we're sitting in our cars, and instead of laughing, he hears honking, and he sees the bright lights flicking on and off. And he's like, after like he told some jokes and didn't really hear the laughter, and he just hears honking, and like some of the cars are way back in the parking lot, so it's very faint honking, and he's just like, I don't know if I can do this. I want to hear you. I want to hear you laugh. I want to see you. Like,
right.
That's what's best about, like, Helium Comedy Club in Philly.
Right.
And I see a show there a couple weeks ago, and there's social distancing there. Tables are spread apart, but like just to hear the laughter amongst a crowd of like 100 to 200 people, that's something special. And I know you and I love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And plus, you got to think, for the comic, one of the reasons they love it so much is because of that instant gratification. Joke, laugh, like right there, that call and response. If you haven't seen it yet, I know we always like to talk about recommendations. Brian Regan on the Rocks on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. It was really good Brian Regan stuff. For those that don't know Brian Regan, he's like the type of guy that you can laugh your ass off to, but also watch with your grandmother, because he's just a clean comic, very funny. I guess it's at Red Rocks in Colorado. Is that where that is? I don't know. But but anyway, really funny, really enjoyed it. If you haven't checked that out yet, that's my one for you, my friend.
All right. I'm going to watch that, because I did see it pop up on Netflix, and I'll tell you, I have gone back and I've watched like the last 4 Chappelles that were on Netflix, and just a genius.
Absolutely.
And
we've talked about comedians in cars getting coffee a bunch of times. Great show with Seinfeld. Regan and Seinfeld, I think, talk about this, about kind of how comedians are always horrible people to have at social gatherings, like parties. Like, Regan does a great riff on it. I won't ruin it for you, because I also won't do it justice, but it's probably my favorite part of the whole stand-up. And it's normal looking. It's like a stadium full of people. Everyone's got masks on. They're outdoors. And it actually looks normal, even though I think it was shot maybe in June
Okay.
of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's the first quote-unquote normal-looking comedy show on Netflix since shutdown. But
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Unlike Kevin Hart, who actually had people come into his home
Right.
to do a quarantine comedy show, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Yeah, and then you mentioned Chappelle. He had the comedy show out in like a farm or something like that.
Yeah, in Ohio.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch that again. And I haven't seen the rest of Kevin Hart, but he was great from what I did see.
Yeah.
John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, NBC 10 as well. You're the best, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. And keep all of us posted with all your fine social media posts, my friend.
Well, you keep up the great work. Love your energy. Love your content. Love your show. And let's see a comedy show, hopefully in the summertime or when things open up a little bit more.
You got it, brother. John Clark, thanks so much, man.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Once again, my thanks to my good friend John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, joining us there on the Zatos Investments guest line. And Jim Gaffigan is hilarious. I did see Jim Gaffigan in Baltimore Valentine's Day a year ago. He was playing in Baltimore, and my wife and I went down there and checked it out. It was a great show. He's hysterical in concert. And I don't know if it's every show, but it's the only show I've ever been to with Jim Gaffigan. They actually sold a shot in the lobby called a Hot Pocket, which is all too appropriate if you're familiar with Jim Gaffigan. But thanks again, John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, joining us there on the Zatos Investments guest line. Right now, I do want to tell you, by the way, we got some breaking news coming up here. And I'll say this, I don't want to worry anybody, but I had not heard this name in trade rumors, so we'll get to that in just 1 second. But first, I have to tell you about our friends at FanUp. If you haven't downloaded the FanUp app, come on, people. What are you doing? It's the only place you can win great brand prizes, for instance, when you're making some bets with some friends, because the days of fantasy sports are over. Playing them alone, those days are over. FanUp, super fun, daily, weekly contests, answer questions, rise on their leaderboard, squad up with your friends, and win even more. FanUp, doing all the great things that you could possibly do in the betting world and having a great time with it. It's fun. It's easy. It's the only place to win, as I said, the hottest brand prizes. Just gave away a pair of Jordans, just incredible stuff. You can win cash as well. Like I said, the days of playing fantasy sports are over. Any day, week, or season, you could be the MVP with FanUp. So make sure you download the FanUp app in the App Store. Use promo code FanUp and get 2,000 bonus points. That's 2,000 bonus points with FanUp. May the best fan win. Oh, this is what I'm going to start doing here. My man Tony Cavada at Steak and Maine. I'm going to start actually showing you some of his social media posts in case you're not following him already, just to see the succulent deliciousness that Steak and Maine provides. Steak and Maine, fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality seafood, prime meats, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that with an extensive wine list from the Cavada family to yours with Cavada Cellars Wines. Every day, lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch even. Check out Steak and Maine. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland voted #1 place Higher Great Nation by the Travel Channel as well as the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. And Steak and Maine, appropriately enough, also gives us our social media check-in. But before I get to that, I will give you this. So I just saw this come across with Bleeding Green Nation. And people are like, hey, Mark, why do you do the show live? You can just do it at night, the night before. You don't have to get up early. To hell with that. You know why? That doesn't best serve you, the consumer, the viewer, the listener, the sports fan of Philadelphia. And for this reason as well. And this is why it doesn't serve you the best if I don't do it live. I'll tell you why. If I don't do a live show, I can't tell you right now that it's 6:37. This just came across Bleeding Green Nation. Apparently, according to Albert Breer of SI.com, phone calls and conversations have been had between the Philadelphia Eagles and other football teams around the NFL about Brandon Brooks, the guard I mentioned at the top of the show that you all know and love. Unfortunately, injuries have become a big issue for him. Brandon Brooks' name has been brought up in trade conversations. Eagles looking to save some cap. Right now, they are, according to Albert Breer's column, They are at they're 29 million, almost 30 million under the salary cap, or over the salary cap, excuse me. So they're still trying to work their way under the salary cap. Brandon Graham might help him. Brandon Brooks, excuse me, might help them get under that cap, as they are well over right now. So apparently his name has been brought up in trade conversation. Does that mean they're looking to trade him? No, of course not. Does that mean that they could trade him? Well, anybody could be traded, really. Once you take a $30 million cap hit with Carson Wentz, anybody's on the table. So Brandon Brooks' name has apparently been mentioned, seeing this by Bleeding Green Nation by way of, or seeing this from SI.com's Albert Breer by way of Bleeding Green Nation. So just another name to keep up there as well. Bleeding Green Nation has highlighted a couple of different things here, and I'm trying to make sure I can give you the most concise explanation of this. Here's what Albert Breer wrote about it. Brandon Brooks, among the NFL's best guards before he got hurt. A torn Achilles cost him his 2020 season, but he was healthy enough to practice before the end of the year. And the 31-year-old is under contract for the next 4 years for a reasonable $53 million and just $10.5 million this upcoming season. There have been trade discussions here. That's all that there is to it. So we'll see and continue to follow that story as time goes on. Social media check-in. As I promised earlier, I put out last night, this year's NBA All-Star Game was fill in the blank. Michael Prospero checks in. I watched Oprah instead. That was a very popular thing. There was the royal guy that's not royal anymore, and his wife, who's American, and he married her, and they have a kid, and they moved to the United States, and they're no longer royal. And it was tough. I don't know. That is that's me basically playing the whole role of the crown for you, for anyone that watches that program. But yeah, so they talked to Oprah last night. There was a lot of, I noticed there was a lot of condescending tweets. I don't want to, hey, look, anybody can be miserable. No matter if you're royalty, you're rich, whatever, anybody can be miserable. So, hey, I hope nobody's miserable. There you go. Ruined Pessimism says on TV. The All-Star Game was on TV. It was. I had a lot of those similar responses last night. It actually happened. It's time for baseball. Thank you, Jason. He says it's pointless. It was pointless. The NBA All-Star Game was just pointless. Kev says not worth putting stars in COVID-19 protocol. You could not be more accurate. And although it happened with a barber that they used anyway, believe me, I'll tell you right now. Who wrote that tweet? Kev, thank you. Kev, I'll tell you right now, if Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons go to the All-Star Game and in an All-Star Game function, whether that be whatever, just flying there, for instance, and doing something they wouldn't normally be doing, I would be pissed off as all hell. Now, and I would be screaming it from the mountaintops that like Adam Silver needed to be fired immediately. But that's not what happened. And I'm not going to hot take you by making it seem like that's what happened. But here's what did happen. And Shaquille O'Neal even pointed this out. And our friend John Clark, again, the best. John Clark pointed out Shaq's quote on TNT saying that everybody gets a fresh cut before the All-Star Game. I would go ahead and assume that these guys would get fresh cuts anyway at some point in the not-too-distant future. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the outlier is there where they rushed to get a haircut because they were in the All-Star Game. Look, bottom line is the All-Star Game should not have happened. The NBA decided to have it anyway. And right now, our two biggest stars in Philadelphia, at least in the basketball world, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, are in protocol. We don't know when they're going to be back. They could be missing the next 3 days, the next 5 days. Hopefully, and Doc Rivers did say after the game, he is hoping, and he sounded optimistic that he would have both back in time for Thursday, so they wouldn't miss any time. If that happens, then all is right with the world. I still would have liked to have had a little bit of an interest in last night's All-Star Game. If Ben and Joe were playing, I have that interest. I had no interest in last night's game, and it seems like the vast majority of you are right along with me. Dr. Fred saying that he didn't care about it, and he didn't even realize it was on. This is telling. Andy is saying that All-Star Game last night is the first one he didn't watch in 30 years. And Stu is hitting us up saying that the Flyers lost again. That did happen. Yeah, and we talked about that to start the show. Yet again, some more hockey talk to kick off the program. Thank you very much to the people on the social media check-in that checked in on that question last night. To the people on YouTube commenting on the show right now. Mark, is that the same barber? Taylor? No, that's been a while. I do miss the barber, as I've pointed out before on the program. Mally's checking in. Loving the show. Thanks, Mally. Always appreciate the kind words. Mac is checking in saying he loves Zach Ertz. I love Zach Ertz. I don't feel like most people love Zach Ertz, and that's a shame. One of the best receivers, I know he's a tight end, but just blanket statement, receivers ever to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't feel like he's universally loved. The go-ahead touchdown in the Super Bowl, and I don't feel like he's universally loved. And if somehow there's no strip sack in that game and the Eagles still win, where Brandon Graham doesn't come up with a strip sack and that huge play happens at the end of the game. If that doesn't happen, then I think Zach Ertz is looked at, he's more revered in this city. But when you look at his record-setting season with Carson Wentz in 2018, people almost hold that season against Zach Ertz because there's a complaint attached to his name. And it's really got nothing to do with Zach as much as it does with Carson Wentz. Oh, Carson Wentz is focusing on Zach Ertz too much. And then his name gets brought up in a negative context. And it's like, well, he's a pretty damn good guy to concentrate on, especially when you have everybody around you not playing well. Like, that, I hate the negative connotation there. And people talk about yaks and all that stuff. Like, Zach Ertz is amazing. And I love Zach Ertz. And I appreciate everything he's done, both for the city in a football sense and as a citizen. And I just feel like he's not universally loved. So, Mac, I appreciate you saying that you love Zach Ertz. Me too. I love Zach Ertz too. As a football fan and as a person. Like, I've been to events with this guy where he's not exactly the guy that wants to go out there and have these conversations with strangers, but he does it because he knows it's for a great cause. And that's what he does. And I appreciate people like that are looking to make a difference. Joel Embiid wants to donate $100,000 to people in the city of Philadelphia, the homeless people in the city of Philadelphia. Like, praise these people for the great job that they're doing. Zach Ertz will be missed. And I've been right along with it. All the reports saying that, he's not going to be here. And the reports now that he's not going to be here in the coming days. A trade will happen. That was, again, from Mike Silver of NFL Network. I'll miss Zach Ertz, man, when he's not here. And I got a lot of confidence in Dallas Goedert and all that. But just that talent and that person, it doesn't come along all the time. So I appreciate everything that he has done. So we'll see how that story plays out as well as time goes on. So appreciate people checking in here on YouTube with your comments and on Twitter as well. And that was our social media check-in brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Now, how about the morning rush? Got a wide variety of things. First off, let's just get you what's most important here. Looking at the Flyers and the Sixers. Flyers next play tomorrow night against Buffalo. Sixers next play Thursday at Chicago. So that's when they return from the All-Star break, in case you hadn't seen that. In the basketball world, I just touched on this in the interview with John Clark. Blake Griffin is joining the Brooklyn Nets. Now, there's a couple of interesting things that go along here. First, the behind-the-scenes thing. Last night at the All-Star game, James Harden wanted nothing to do with talking about this because the trade wasn't officially official. So he said, if that's the case, that's great. Hopefully he's here to help our team win and all that stuff. Now, I am in no way, shape, or form thinking that Blake Griffin is Clippers Blake Griffin, or even 2 years ago Blake Griffin with Detroit when he first went to Detroit and started to hit some threes and started to play a little bit of a different game, started ball handling a little bit better. Well, he's been through a lot of injuries over the last 2 years. He's only played in 20 games, starting all those 20 games for the Detroit Pistons. And on top of that, they were specifically holding him out for this moment to either release him, buy him out, trade him, whatever it might have been. So they worked out a buyout, more or less. So he's going to be going, Woj is saying, pretty much everyone's saying he's going to the Nets. So he's going to the Nets, all right? James Harden didn't want to talk about it again because of the rules in the NBA, but he's going to the Nets. That is one hell of a team. And even though I'm acknowledging that Blake Griffin is nowhere near the Blake Griffin that we had seen playing in L.A. and the All-Star, six-time All-Star, he's still better than what they had, as I told John earlier. That's a really good lineup. It goes without saying. Just put it plainly, to put it in the understatement of the year, that's a really good lineup. They got better. And I think Daryl Morey is, yes, of course, very, very motivated to make this team better. Now there's a little extra added motivation because the team that was already really good, half game behind the Sixers in the standings going into the All-Star break, just got better. And the Sixers right now are still in a spot where they got to get better as well. And they got to go out there. Not for nothing, PJ Tucker ain't it. And I got nothing against the guy. But if you see the second best team record-wise right now in the league, at least in the conference, second team record, best team record-wise in the conference, getting better by adding Blake Griffin, you got to do a little bit better than PJ Tucker. I think we all agree right there. That was the first story we had, or the second story we had in our morning rush. Also want to get this to you. I promised this earlier. Joel Embiid did comment on not being in the All-Star game and just saying Mickey Mouse All-Star game. Ha! And this was after tip-off, because tip-off was actually around 8:30 last night, not 8 o'clock, unfortunately. Mickey Mouse All-Star game, ha, by our man Joel, Hans, and Embiid, trolling the good people of the game. Yeah, it was a Mickey Mouse All-Star game. And I wish you were playing, my friend. I wish you were playing. This is a little bit of a, I won't close it. I'll wait for this one. From outside the world of sports, do you guys follow billionaires? Because one, I don't know how rich this guy is, but I know how rich his wife is now. So Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Amazon guy Jeff Bezos, and his wife settled $53 billion in their divorce. She got $53 billion in the divorce. I think it was a quarter of the assets. I don't know. But $53 billion is basically what she got. Well, she remarried. Mackenzie Scott got remarried recently. And the occupation of her husband, Dan, either Jewett or Hewitt. I don't know if it's a soft J. Dan Hewitt is a school teacher. I have no idea what his wealth is. I don't know if he comes from money and just wanted to follow a passion of being a school teacher. But a school teacher, I'm going to go ahead and assume, ain't making top dollar. I'm going to go ahead and assume $53 billion is just as shocking to a school teacher as it would be to me, for instance. Anyway, he married up. Good for him. Blessings upon them and happiness, all that stuff. Cheers to you guys in your wedding. But a school teacher married a woman worth $53 billion. Amen. Amen. And for the record, she has already given away, I believe, $4.3 billion in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, to various charitable causes. So, Mackenzie Scott, good hustle to you, and congratulations on your nuptials. That's awesome. I'll close with this. How about a little love, ladies and gentlemen? How about a little love? And if you didn't see this, Dolly Parton, speaking of people that have been very charitable, especially during COVID-19, Dolly Parton is up there with a lot of them, helping basically the vaccine along. And as she had done that by donating a lot of money, as she did that, she got the vaccine as well. And she decided to rewrite the lyrics of one of her most famous songs, Jolene, in an effort to market why people should get the vaccine. Take it away, Dolly Parton.
Well, hey, it's me. I'm finally going to get my vaccine. I'm so excited. I've been waiting a while. I'm old enough to get it, and I'm smart enough to get it. So I'm very happy that I'm going to get my Moderna shot today. And I wanted to tell everybody, I think you should get out there and do it too. I even changed one of my songs to fit the occasion. It goes, vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate. Vaccine, 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 vaccine. 'Cause once you're dead, then that's a bit too late.
If anybody was on the fence about getting the vaccine, Dolly Parton, I think, just sealed the deal. And if anyone can spike the football, it's Dolly Parton, after all she did to help out the COVID research and all that. So credit to you. Credit to you there, Dolly. And by the way, still lovely. Just lovely. In closing, I'm going to give you our big bet segment. Now you're looking at me and you're going, Mark, there's no NBA. What's your big bet? Well, I'm still going hoops, but I'm going college hoops. And I like a team at minus 17.5. This is our big bet segment, brought to you by the great people at DraftKings and the DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I am going with the Gonzaga Bulldogs over St. Mary's tonight, minus 17.5. Let's go, Zaga. Let's go, Gonzaga. Let's do it. Give me that money. I literally just bet the game. I'm not even kidding you. I already put the money down right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, Jim Hyden produced the program, and this is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest tomorrow. We're not just you, Douglas, as we do every Tuesday, but from Rookie of the Year fame, Thomas Ian Nicholas will join us. I hosted a virtual signing with him over the weekend. It went fantastic. He agreed to come on the show, and we'll talk about all the behind-the-scenes things of one of the great sports movies of all time, one of the most fun sports movies of all times, at least. Rookie of the Year, of course, and American Pie movies as well. So he'll join us tomorrow. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. We'll keep an eye on all the things going on with Zach Ertz throughout the rest of the week, as well as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy.